This is Mark Kramer. I'm a senior lecturer of entrepreneurship at Vin University and host of Asian Founders and Funders. Today, we also have a return guest, Tham Nguyen, and her partner is joining us today, Tuan Mai. And they're going to be talking about the company that they founded, I guess it's 2 years ago now, MindPal. So let's first talk about what is MindPal?
Yeah, actually, we started my pal nearly 1 year ago. So it was August 23. Actually, in the when we first started my pal, we did share the idea with you in the entrepreneurship lab of Vinyuni. Did you recall that? And
Yeah, I do.
that was the moment when all of this started. Back then, we have been experimenting with different product ideas, and MyPal was one of them. And at the time, generative AI was pretty new. And we knew there was an opportunity of building an app that allowed people to chat with any document, because at that time chatting with document was not was also a very new concept. Even ChatGPT or Claude didn't have the built-in chat with document feature yet, and all of the apps in the market, they did some of them did started to allow you to chat with PDFs, but only PDFs. But Tuấn, our AI guy here, he knew there was a way to allow us to chat with not just PDF, but Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and audio, video, all sorts of those things. And we believed it could be very useful for us. At the time, we were still students, but also for many people who are working adults. So we just spent the weekend building the product and launch it on a platform for launching tech products called Product Hunt. And luckily, it got a little bit viral. And over the next few weeks, we got dozens of paying customers together with a B2B customer. And with this influx of customers, we started to gather a lot of feedback and insights into the way they use MyPal for their work, the reason why they bought it in the first place, and many more other insights. And with those insights, we start yeah. So fun fact is that initially we didn't think that we first built that product for ourselves first, who were students. We didn't think that there were so much working adults find out about us and actually integrated us the product into their workflow, whether it is to reading documents about their company, or researching, or like analyzing candidate CV, or a lot of functions find this ability to chat with their documents at work so valuable. And but then we one insight we have learned is that chatting with documents was actually one step in a bigger process of these individuals, because when at work there was for each of us there were different jobs to be done, and chatting with a document is just like the first step or the means to achieve that job to be done. So we transformed MyPal into a platform for building AI agents. And by AI agents, we introduced the concept of tying a job to be done to an AI agent. Think of it like an AI assistant or AI employee of yours. And for each of these agents, they have a specific job to be done, and chatting with documents became a capability of them to carry out that job. So that's how we transformed it into the next version of MyPal. And for after some more time, we started to see more patterns of people using MyPal. We recognize that there are a lot of tasks and processes in a business that are much more complicated than a single AI agent could do. And we thought about the idea of connecting multiple agents together. So thinking of them as like when you have a big project to do, it's not just one goal in one go and you can get the whole output ready. It may involve different steps, different people with different expertise coming together to solve that multi-step task and to provide the best possible output. And that's how we came up. We introduced another big feature, which is multi-agent workflow, and that's exactly the idea. You stack multiple AI agents together for them to solve a multi-step process. So that's a little bit about our journey as a product, and I think actually, in 3 days, it is the first anniversary, like the first birthday of my pal in 3 days, and over the past 1 year, it has been quite incredible for us. We grew from zero to right now we are serving around 1,400 paying customers around the world. The majority of them still come from America, but we also have customers across Europe, Asia, Africa, and many more, like all the continents in the world. So yeah, and when we first started, it was just me and Tuan here. We're working together as a two-person team for the first 6 months. But then we raised funds from a US VC, and with all of that like extra funding, we invested more in the business, and we also recently onboarded 3 more team members to help us grow MyPal. So yeah, that's a little bit of MyPal. Tuan, would you like to share more?
Yeah, I think you have shared a very comprehensive and excellent story about us. It's also a very incredible journey for me as well because in the last year I was nearly I think knew nothing about startup and business, and my power is the product that helped me not only in the business let me um, grow to from something just during the weekend to the million thousand customer product and got the VC funding, and now we are on the phase to like grow this MyPow from thousand customer to the even bigger and bigger company.
Tuan, how did you two meet?
I miss yoga in let me remember, that is a socialism course community. There is a course that teach you about how to the history of Asian country and the society and the culture of each country. And in that class, there is the lecture section and and another section that is a kind of debate with different students about the culture of each country. And uh, me and Tham was in the same debate section like that.
So before we go into more about the business, I would like each of you to talk about your background, how you came into getting into this type of business. So, what was your family background? Tuan, you start first, and Tam, tell us a little bit about your family as well and how you also ended up at Vin University, and why you ended up choosing this line of work. So, Tuan, why don't you start?
So where should I start? From the high school or from where?
Yeah, so where'd you go to high school, and how did you end up going into developing an AI company?
In my high school, I was studying in the gifted school in my province in Vietnam. That is a province in the middle of Vietnam, and I I study specialized in physics, and I also was in the national team of Vietnam to like compete physics with other students from other countries. So and unfortunately, in my last year of the high school, there was the pandemic, COVID-19. So at that time, I cannot go to school, and I have a lot of free time at home because there was a lockdown. But at that time also because I was in the national team, so I had the kind of direct admission to any kind of university in Vietnam at that time because there was a policy in Vietnam to have to do that. So this means that I didn't need to take the kind of graduation exam in the high school. So the last year in my 12th grade in high school was a kind of free year for me at home to learn stuff. And uh, during the time I was at home, I read a lot of books, and there's a book called uh, kind of a futuristic book about the technology, and I knew about AI at that time. So there was a prediction in the book that I still remember that the AI will rising, and it's still rising up, and it was 2020. That was a time that no one knew about anything about AI, and the book prediction is that by 2030 AI will be rising, but it's big and it will last for 20 years for technology. So at that time, I was physics student. So because physics is not it's not have a lot of promising career path. So I was thinking like I was in the progress to pick the major in my university. So I think I should do AI. And then I just take some course from in a YouTube in the channel called the MIT Open Courseware. That is a website from them that they host a lot of courses about different course and subjects in the university. And I took some AI course at that website. There's a course to teach me about the basic math, and another course that teach me programming, and they combine together to the comprehensive AI and a lot of specialized course in different aspects of AI after that. So I take a lot of preparation for that for me before I went to Wien University. And Wien University, I actually was not in the at the time I interviewed with them, there was a thing called the priority list for students with the high profile. I did not included in that list. So I think I will not admitted to Vinuri, and I was preparing to apply to another school. But in some way, during the lockdown, they call me and they announced that I have the full scholarship. And because at that time I cannot go anywhere because of the lockdown, so I decided I just go to Vinuri to study to see what will happen. And
Did you see yourself as being an entrepreneur? Like, did you always have the dream of owning your own company?
Yeah. So at the time, I read about the future book about AI. I actually have a kind of master plan for my life. This was I estimate that the AI will be booming in the next 10 years, for example. So I need to be prepared. So in the next 10 years, I will start a company at that time to take advantage of the AI. But it actually comes sooner than I think. It only takes 2 years or 3 years, not a 10 year. But I always had the plan to do the entrepreneurship because during the high school, I also started a company at that time to sell book and consulting service to secondary to high school students. So I have some kind of business sense. Uh, But during my first year in the college, I only do some study and research job. I have a job doing research at uni, and then I have the internship at the U.S. National Center of Supercomputing in my first year to do the internship at the it's at Chicago there. And in my second year, I actually have another offer from another lab also in Chicago about doing the research about using AI in human motion analysis for some kind of sport analytic to help patient uh, analyze their status. But then at that summer, that is when I decide I dropped the internship because to start a company at that time. That's called to speak my first startup.
Wow. So Tam, tell us your story about how you got to VinUni, and did you envision yourself as being an entrepreneur? And you've already started a few different companies.
Yeah. So my journey is a little bit different with Tuan. To be honest, I didn't expect that I would get into building an AI startup at all. When I was when I was little, I did have at the time I was a pretty good student. But then I also like so my but besides studying at school, I also I'm looking for different ways to be able to become financially independent as soon as possible, because my parents have 4 children, and being able to raise all 4 children is was for them as a like middle income low to middle income family was pretty challenging. So at a young age, already had the thought of how to become financially independent as soon as possible. So I started a couple of small businesses when I was in secondary high school. But they were pretty small. And then when I got to high school, I started to doing tutoring sections for the other students in my school. I got paid pretty well for a high school student at that time. But then I also recognized that to be honest, I didn't enjoy that kind of career much. So it could be a side income for me, but it would definitely not it's not definitely a thing that I will pursue for life, because I didn't feel fulfilled when I doing this kind of tutoring, because I don't feel like I learned a lot, and I was able to grow myself academically or professionally like a lot for this kind of work. So that's when I started to when I got to university, I started to think of different options for me. So actually, first I started experimenting with the traditional path for a lot of students, which is to get a good job at a big corporate. And I did do some internships, but then I also feel like it wasn't for me because I felt like the ladder of a job at a big corporate was pretty lengthy, and it would took me a lot of years to be able to like got to a place where I could like make decisions or like get involved in like more important tasks of a business. So I didn't feel like enjoy working at these environments. That's not to say like these environments in Vietnam, they also have a lot of workplace politics, which I don't want to be involved into as well. So that's when around the same time I met Tuan, and we started to discuss like just share thoughts and discuss about doing startups and a lot of other things. At the time, I was still an intern at a big corp. Tuan was still a researcher. But then when we discussed the idea of starting a startup, we knew we wanted to try this out. At least this is something we haven't tried yet. So we wanted to try that when we were still young and like this. So we started our first startup together, Mouth to Speak, like Tuan had have shared, and to be honest, so for me, I didn't have any knowledge about technology at all. Like Tuan was his background was in physics. So he had a pretty like natural transition from physics to AI, because a lot of the foundational knowledge of AI came from physics. But for me, in high school, I was actually specialized in social sciences, Vietnamese literature to be more specific. And we had nothing to do with technology. I even thought that in the future my career path would be separate from technology, like because I did not know anything about it. But then when we Tuan and I at the time, we were discussing about an idea, which was an app that allowed Vietnamese students to practice English with AI, because a lot of Vietnamese students, especially, for example, those who don't have financial conditions, as well as others, they won't have the chances to practice speaking with an actual native speaker, or go to like extra classes like me in the past. So so we knew we can leverage AI in this case and build like virtual AI characters to practice speaking with the students. So that was the idea. So I just think the idea was really cool, and it was like definitely something that I would want when I was in high school. So we started building that product. But our first startup didn't work out in the end, because there were a lot of mistakes that we have made. But like after 1.5 year, we felt like we no longer had the energy and conviction to continue the business. And at the same time, generative AI was starting to rise, and we wanted to capture this opportunity. So that's when we that's when we are thinking about other products that we could build. One fun fact is that from thanks to this whole startup journey, I went from somebody who knew nothing about technology into teaching myself coding, and were able to code these apps together with Tuan. So we were able to build apps much faster than before as a two-person team. And that's when we have like the building capability to be able to build a lot of products fast, to experiment all sorts of ideas, and to see which works to continue. And that's when My Pal came out. And yeah, I think that's how we ended up building an AI startup together.
So what's the good parts about being an entrepreneur, and what's the challenging parts about being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, Tuan, would you like to go first?
I think quite difficult question for me, but from my perspective, the most challenging part of the entrepreneur is that especially when you getting started, is that at the same time you have to have the capability to build something people want, and also sell that to people at the same time, because normally in the traditional way, you work at a big corporation or you work for someone else, you only need to do some special thing. For example, you are the designer or the engineer, or you are doing marketing, or you doing sale only. But in the startup, for the founder need to be at least good enough at every single aspect like that. For us, for example, at the beginning, and I think for a lot of founder also, the 1 to 2 person team, they need to be at least, like for example, we have two main functions, that the building the product or the service and selling that product and service to the client. So the founder need to be like 7 or 8 over 10 point at two aspects like that, and have to have the energy to fix that thing. So it's exceptionally hard for students, because the way they are educated at the school is that they only study in their major, and they are trained to do a specialized job, and they even not good enough to get to the 7 or 8 point like that. But I think that is the thing, very hard to get started, and the be zero list at a lot of things. But it also need to be exceptional in some way, that people will see the difference in the product and service that they will buy. And but the fun thing after that, that when you can kickstart the ball, and the startup start to get more client, and you are setting the kind of process to work together, you can grow extremely fast compared with your peer or your colleagues at the same like age group. For example, 2 years ago, I was kind of good student in the university, but I think compare myself with my peer friend, I think there's not a lot different between me and them. But for now, I think after 2 years, I think I have set up a kind of financial situation. I have set up a kind of personal branding on the market, and my network with a lot of people much stronger compared to a peer that they study in the university, and they just graduate this year. So the biggest reward is like that, and in the long term, growing a startup means we can grow that startup at the pace we want, and we can leverage a lot of things, get a lot of value from that, know a lot of business partner, networking with a lot of exceptional and ambitious people, and financially we get financially literacy sooner than the normal traditional career.
Fantastic. Tam, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I totally agree with Tuan on that point. I think yeah, for me what I think is the most rewarding and challenging in this journey, they are kind of intertwined. Like, so what's challenging can also be what's rewarding, because after we if we were able to overcome that challenge, it became a very rewarding experience for us. Like, for every challenge that we have been through, it's now became a very fond memory, and also a very foundational step to put us in a better position to aim for higher goals. For one of the things is to be able to build and pioneer in such a new industry like this. So generative AI is a pretty it's been for quite a while. It's been around for quite a while, but it's been now like still in its early years, and we were among like the first wave of AI apps. And at this time, there were now there are not any playbooks for us that yet, both in terms of growing a business in this AI SaaS industry, and for building the product. So everything we do now, it came from our like our own thoughts. we think about it this way, so we are gonna do it this way. There's nobody to teach us about a certain way to do things. So it's challenging in that sense, but it's also very interesting because a lot of the things that we invented today over the past few months became what the others what many people have been using and find value for their work. So for example, I have shared with you about our journey of building a product, a platform for building AI agents and multi-agent workflows. And actually the concept of AI agent and multi-agent workflows, at least in our product, were invented by us. So there were no like consensus about what is an AI agent or an AI workflow or a knowledge source given to an AI agent yet. We just like coined the term and build a product around that. But in the first few months, it felt like something that is very, very new. Like the concept is not even like well tested yet. We are not even sure that this will work out. But for now, we have already think about like having 1,400 different businesses and people around the world using our product, and some of them even like building our product, integrate our product deeply inside their business, so their business is somehow like also dependent on my pal. And that feeling is extremely rewarding and fulfilling because we felt like we have been like building this product in Vietnam but spreading the value across the globe, so yeah. So I think that's the most that's a very rewarding journey. And with that also came a very big challenge of how much we needed to have the strength, both mental and physical and emotional, to keep march on despite the challenges of building in a new space, and despite like all the uncertainties that came with it. So and also one other thing is the strength to not be easily satisfied with the current results, and continue to aim for a higher ground and keep working towards it. I think it's easy for us to like reach a certain milestone in our life, whether it is our work or our study, and started to feel comfortable and satisfied with that. But that was when we would stop growing. And for example, for us, actually in the first few months of my pal, we have already made a lot of money. And if back then we thought to ourselves, this is good enough. Now we can have a comfortable life in Vietnam, even for the rest of our life, if we keep like going just enough like this. Then if then my power wouldn't grow that much. If we are easily satisfied with what we get. But instead, Tuan and I constantly reminded ourselves of like a higher ground that we could aim for. So every time we break our own records of like revenue or some growth, we could be happy. We could like cherish and celebrate that amongst ourselves. But at the same time, we also reminded ourselves that there are still higher standards that we could achieve, and we could like our limits didn't stop here. We still have a lot of potential to grow further, so I think that's also like a testament to our strength. Yeah.
How many hours a day are you two working? Are you working 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days, every day of the week? And how many hours a day are you working on this?
I think it fluctuates actually. So we work. I think we work pretty much all day. But but like the forms of working changed. You know, in the early days of MyPal, we spent a lot of time building the product because the product didn't exist yet. So at the time, like we sometimes we even there were a lot of days in the early beginning that we code until like all day long and until like 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. And yeah, so that was the beginning. But then after the product mature, like kind of it has formed the foundation, and we just we needed to iterate on that. But the burden of building is has decreased quite a lot. We spend more time on like distributing the product, or thinking and reflecting and planning things like that. So yeah, I don't have an exact numbers, but for now
Yes.
our full focus is on MyPal. So like as soon as we wake up, like we will start working on it.
I guess I'm asking that question because there are many aspiring entrepreneurs listening to this, and they're going to wonder, is this like, hey, I got total control over my life, so do I only need to work 5 hours a day, or is this something that I should be really thinking, hey, this could be 12, 15 hours a day of work? So, because they need to walk in with eyes open about what it really takes to build a business, and getting almost 1,500 customers in a year and all over the world is quite an accomplishment. So how much time should they be thinking about? Like, what's the investment of time going to be?
To be honest, I have uh I don't think that that's the question they should be asking, because to be honest, when we spend a lot of time working on MyPal, like there were days, especially I remember when I first learning to code to be able to build MyPal and all the other apps. I even coded until 9 a.m. in the morning, and I go to bed at 9 a.m. and I woke up at 1 p.m. But at the time, to be honest, I didn't think much about how many hours I have spent. I have spent too much. I have spent too little. At that time, like my topmost priority was being able to build an app and launch it to the market and started making traction about it. So I like thinking about like how many hours I had spent. It was not even on in my thinking at all. I just focused on building like the startup. And I think like when these young entrepreneurs, they have a goal for themselves about like and they really want to build a great startup, then they would be willing to go all in, and like not hesitate about like maybe sacrifice their life, maybe the work-life balance that they want, or maybe like some social life or things like that, or even like yeah, I think when I just think that at least for me, when I focus on my goal, I didn't think about that aspect at all. How about you, Tuan?
I think the question should not be asked honestly. I think it's go back to the question that what are the product they are going to build, and to serve what kind of problem or what kind of market, and if the problem of the market and the product is something the founder deeply passionate about that, and they truly care about the kind of market. And when you are working, you do not feel like you are working. You are feel like you are on a kind of mission to use this thing for your customer. And I think another reason is because I think for every kind of attractive market with a lot of potential customer and is growing, it will probably have some competitor for those startup in the same space. And imagine like every cloud competitor, they are also as smart as you are. Probably they are smarter. They get more funding than you, and even some of them even have much bigger funding, and they have more talent team, and they also work hard. They work like every day, and they only care about shipping the product and building and selling to the customer. Like how would you win in that kind of game if you try to calculate like how many hours a week you are willing to work, and the I mean, we also need to figure out the way to work smart here. But we need to work smart and we need to work hard at the same time. And we need to pour in every kind of resource we can find to win the game. Because the startup, I think, is a kind of let me call the super linear return game where, for example, there's five competitors in the same market, competing on the same problem for the customer. And eventually, after 5 years, four of them will die, or three of them will die, and two remaining competitor will dominate a segment of that market, and they will have all the return of that market for every single effort they have made in the last 5 years. So I think that is kind of game that we only make it if we win. It's not some kind of game like we spend a little effort and we get back something, because I think that for 75% of the time I have been doing entrepreneurship, I get nothing. I even got broke last year because too many times I cannot get any single customer for the thing I do, and I keep like get lost in the market. And the way we can only do is that we try to talk with more people, and even chasing people to try our new stuff. And in some way in the middle, we figure out one idea that works, and we can took up from that. But but I think, by the way, the conclusion here is that I feel that in a time when even I get lost, I haven't get any traction for really long time. I still uh, passionate about the product or the journey I was doing. So there was a lot of time I even thinking about going back to a normal job or quit the game. But because in some way I have still have the motivation to keep moving on. So and in some days, in the middle of the game, there will be some idea that work, and you just need like one single idea that work to take off in the entrepreneurship game.
So
Yeah.
I want to go back to Tom a second, and I want to ask her, you're in a partnership. You guys are partners. And so what's the best part of having a partner? And what's the challenging part of having a partner, especially since you spend so much time together?
Yeah, I think let me think for a moment. I think that there are definitely a lot of the great like upsides to having a partner in business in the startup journey, because like it came it's a positive thing in a lot of aspects, both in like a professional aspect, when you always have someone to like think with you and challenge your ideas, challenge your thinking about things, and trying to like reach the right thing together. It's also true in a mental aspect, because sometimes like in doing startups is very hard, and there were a lot of times where our morale or our confidence and our like we feel really hard. And it's challenging to go through that time without someone to like giving each other the strength and to continue on. I think that's what great. That's really great. And that's also something I appreciate when having Tuan together with me a lot. I think the first like um I couldn't emphasize enough on having somebody to challenge your idea, because for me, I think I'm quite confident in my ability to execute things. So I'm pretty good at executing things. Like I'm good at I'm not an expert, but I can execute things pretty well, like across different functions, be it building the product or selling or marketing, creating content or things like that. But sometimes I got too caught up in that flow of executing things that I didn't see some other like different perspectives or things that I have missed. And Tuan really, like, as a third person, viewing like my work from a third person perspective, he gave me a lot of feedback, constructive feedback and insights into like, okay, I can think about this problem this way instead of just going straight in the work. And you can have more like smarter ways to do things that can save you time, but you a lot better results. So I really appreciate Tuan in that sense. And actually, like when I first learned to code, Tuan also like supported me a lot, and we were able to complement each other pretty like harmoniously, because I worked more on the application side while Tuan is much stronger in the back end and AI side, and we were able to build something that had like the AI and the foundation, like the core technology is pretty solid thanks to Tuan. But we also like were able to build an application that has a nice UI UX and like function well. So I think that is a beautiful thing of having a partner. Um, Still at the same time, I don't feel any negative things a lot too much. Actually, but
I
I
wasn't
think,
thinking negative, just challenging.
yeah, challenging. Maybe one challenge for me personally isn't like is that I was somebody with a big ego, and being able to work with a partner, meaning you have to like ignore the ego and just focus on the common goal here. And it's a challenging thing because I was having a big ego for a long time. You know, I was the best student in the school, in the class for 12 years straight. I excelled at like extracurricular activities. I made quite a lot of money compared to a high schooler back then. So you know, my ego has built up, has been compounded together with the achievements I have had when I was in school. So when I met Tuan, but one of the things that I enjoy working with Tuan is that he's very straightforward and he's very honest, and you know, sometimes brutally honest about his about his thoughts and his feedback. And to be and at now in the early days of working with him, to be honest, I had a lot of times that I became defensive when I received his feedback. But then over time, like as I reflected on myself more, I think I became able to you know, keep like ignore my ego and instead like focus on the business, and also like to like be able to see the root cause of things and work on that. Because when I learned that I think that's a very like at least for me it's a challenge, but it's also I think I made a very good decision, because without Tuan and without his very honest feedback, I wouldn't be able to like keep seeing room for improvement in myself or in the business to like keep going up and forward for more ambitious goals. So I think that's for me. How about you, Tuan?
I think logically, uh, I think there's a few. If not saying that there is no one that can perfectly doing every single kind of job in a company on their own without the help of any other people. What I mean is that we have a lot of things we need to accomplish when we build a startup. Including two function building or selling. But like for most of the people, they will be more strong in one aspect. For example, they strong in doing in designing the product. They strong in doing sale, and they strong in doing the marketing. And with the help of the other people, there will be um, compound the capability to the another level. It's not just like the formula one founder plus one co-founder equal to two. It's like they will resonate with the other to raise the standard of two people working to the next level. And statistically, you can see that there's no company, no great company or no great unicorn that was built with just one person. I know a lot of solopreneur and one person business that's successful, but it's just successful on their side. Like for example, they can make a million a year, but it just stop at that point. They cannot grow further from that point. There's no generational return on the investment with just one person, and we can look at that number to see that the co-founder is actually very important. And besides the logical reasoning and the fulfillment on the capability of each person is also on the emotional and facing challenging aspect. Because I can say that 90% of the day in the startup in the early day is a kind of fuck up day. Like the day that we feel so challenging on something like we get no customer, or we feel stupid, or we receive some bad news from competitor or from the customer, or someone turns the product. And in those days, if only a single founder work on the product, he or she will easily feel really want to quit the game. And with the one co-founder, we can uh, take on the challenge together and move forward.
So I have just a couple more questions for you. One question is, you raised money from venture capitalists. What was the process like to raise money?
So it actually I think fundraising is not as hard as people think. I think firstly fundraising I think is the optional thing. It should be the optional thing that we decide to fundraise or not. And if we have a good business, actually there will be a lot of people come knock the door and offer you an investment. And for example, my car right now, we receive like a kind of investment offer every single week. We will have some kind of VC guy come to knock the door to ask like, are we open to investment right now? Um, and for my part, when we raise a VC round, it's actually very simple. We at that time we even don't have the intention to raise money, but we was in a program that support the very early startup to take to build the business from the idea, a kind of accelerator. And in that accelerator, um, we are after a while working with our partner, and the partner of the VC he suggest us that we can take the money from him to grow the MyPal further. And after like discussed with Sylvia, I think that it's a good idea to take MyPal to the next pro level by we receiving the money. We have the 1 year of revenue ahead, so we can think bigger and take bold action on the thing we are doing to take my part to the next level. So we just received the funding, and after that, after the demo day of the Asset, we also received the investment offer from several other VC. But then we think that we should focus on building the business, and we should focus on building the great business first. We in our calculation we didn't need a lot of money like that. We just need just enough money with the reasonable equity given to them. And I think ultimately the question should be asked is that building the great business, and when you build a great business, like you build a garden, and like the butterfly will come, like the investor will come. They will knock the door to asking for investment instead of the founder go to chase them to give investment to them.
So Tam, I think Tong gave a great answer there. I want to ask you, how did you get to 1,400 customers in a year? I mean, people just don't realize, how difficult that is. And especially you don't have a marketing budget. So how did you manage to do that?
I think having a great product, building like having a great product that many people actually used and loved it, they became the like your army of advocates that shared about the product with others is one thing, and also did a lot of experiments is another thing. So I think when it comes like the problem of distribution was also was a big, it is a big problem, and it is a like is just as important as building the product for a startup like us. And in the I think for now we have built like some we have been constantly experimenting with new motions and channels of distribution, and at the same time like continue to growing the channels that have proved to work. So I think in the for us in the early day, I have shared about we got a little bit viral for the first few weeks of launching MyPal, that earned us several dozens of paying customers and a B2B customer. But that initial hype quickly died down after like 2 or 3 weeks at most. And after that, what matter the most more is, I think, first of all it's still the product, because if the product sucks, then even if you were able to get a lot of attract a lot of traffic or leads into your product, they would not buy it in the first place, and even if they bought it, they will easily churn after a couple of months. So the product is still very important, and like being able to experimenting with different ways of getting customers is also another thing, because for us we have done like a ton of experiments from ranging from like product-led growth experiments to marketing to sales to outreach to making free tools to SEO to community growth, all sorts of things. So influencers, yeah, a lot of things. So I think for me, I think those are the two important things that we have been adhering to up to now. But yeah, I think what's challenging about distribution and being able to get to acquire more and more customers is that what worked yesterday might not work now and might not work for the next level of growth. You know, when to acquire the first 10 customers, you can do it by maybe messaging 1,000 different people, and there may be a chance of 10 people buying the product. But in order to acquire 100 customers, it requires a different mindset and a different approach. To aim for 1,000, it requires yet another different approach, and to aim for 10,000, 100,000, like what we are aiming for now, we need to constantly like challenge our existing ways of working and thinking and doing things, and see and thinking of more like unconventional or outside of the box strategies to aim for more, because there's no way we would be able to aim for like an exponential growth like 100,000 customers in the next 2 years, for example, if we just keep doing what we are doing now. So I think that's the hard part. We need to be able to have a lot of ideas and constantly testing them out. Yeah.
So last question, Tuan. What kind of new products are you going to be developing for MindPal? Like what's the future of MindPal, where it is today, and where you could get yourself to where you have 100,000 customers? What new ideas are you going to have to come up with, and what's it going to take?
I think very difficult question to answer. I think honestly, I have to say that I still think that we are in the very beginning of the journey for my account. I think 1,000 customer it might sound a lot with some earlier stage founder, but actually it's not. It's still nothing compared with the whole market we can achieve. For my part, we after a while working with many customers, we are realizing that a lot of them besides they are building the AI agent and building the multi-agent workflow for their internal team or for their personal use or for their own business. They are also developing those agent and workflow for the external audience. For example, they have the expertise in some kind of marketing framework, and they can build an agent that learn their framework, and they can sell that agent to other people, and they can monetize that agent, and that agent will be a kind of digital version of them and doing the work for them 24/7. And that is the thing that we are experimenting with MyPow, and we think with that way we can open a new revenue flow for MyPow, because beside the subscription that people are paying for the MyPow, we can open the revenue from people selling their agent and AI multi-agent workflow to their audience. And it will also help our marketing effort become much more exponentially grow when people are sharing my part with their audience, and their audience can share my part to other people. But I think that is our plan for right now, to growing my part further. And actually, we will have some feedback from the market on whether it works or not, and we will adjust our plan later.
Tam, do you have any last comments?
Yeah, I think Tuan has shared quite comprehensive, like concisely about what we are gonna do in the future. I think yeah, I agree. We are still in the very beginning of MyPal. I think there are a lot of goals and exciting milestones ahead that I really look forward to. And although we do have some like picture about how MyPal may look like in a couple of months or in 1 year, but we are quite. I think we are we are very flexible, and with the constant feedback from our customers, we will adjust our plan and roadmap accordingly. In the end, what we are aiming for, we really look forward to the day when we can confidently say that MyPal has achieved product market fit. I think for now, at least for now with me, I think that's where that's our goal for now, and we would do any everything possible, be it like changing our plan or pivoting the product, whatever it takes to get us there. And I think we are very we couldn't be more excited now.
Well, I want to thank you both for taking the time to allow me to interview you. You have a great story, and I feel like this is only the very beginning, that if we interviewed you again from next year, we'd even hear a more enhanced, successful story. And I like the way you guys are constantly trying to improve yourselves along with the product and the company. So we expect great things. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us today too, Mark. Happy to return, and I guess I look forward to our next episode this year, next year.